You want to know the exact second when I knew I was attracted to women? I can show you the exact frame. Right here. And slow it down, and there. That little curve right there. I was 10 years old when I was watching Sailor Moon on Toonami after school. Some 25 years later, none of these feelings have changed. I guess this anecdote is all to say that from the start, my consumption of magical girls was never not sexual. And this is not a rare circumstance. Many, many millennials and zoomers had their sexual awakening from anime or manga. You know who you are. No, scratch that. I'm not doing a guilt joke in a video arguing precisely against that. Own it. Let your freak flag fly. The entire genre has been rife with sexploitation and horniness far before the Sailor Soldier skirts. And it's all not purely sexual, of course. But if the confluence of idyllically beautiful female forms and lewdly consuming idyllically beautiful female forms, well, that's all nothing new. 2024's magical girl anime, Gushing Over Magical Girls, is...
We need to talk about something interesting.
There's not a whole lot of debate here. It's very clearly intended to be read with the prurient interest in mind. It's a show with a literal dominatrix with a whip and nipple pasties as its heroine. There's no duplicity here, and it certainly doesn't bounce the check it writes on the cover. The material is lewd. It intends to provide its audience with lecherous pleasure. It's pretty dang good at it. Therefore, a truthful review of the efficacy of the show would include whether or not I fell victim to the show's manipulations, right? Well, I did. Specifically on the main Azur x Bezer domination scene in episode 7. That's a... whew. Then I did my critical duty. Part of my episodic review post in a few discords was confirming that I successfully bezered my enormita to the show. Now you might cringe at that, you might say I was in the wrong for bringing it up. Longtime viewers of the channel will know that I have few scruples, and I am often not very in tune with social expectations. Rightly or wrongly, that all got me cancelled. I was exiled from a few online communities, and some very good podcast episodes I had guested on were delisted and lost forever. That's all. No Bill Cosby situation. I'm still doing fine after being minorly cancelled, and I apologize for the clickbait. The title of this video would probably be better served as Analyzing Sexual Consumption in the Magical Girl Genre Through Gushing Over Magical Girls, but I know what gets the views. You want the drama and titties, so I will have to trick you into sociology and textual criticism. Keep your outrage contained and your pants on as we talk a bit more about the heady stuff. But back to this scene, which I'm pretty sure my editor is definitely not able to show you all whatsoever. I'm so sorry, Mia. It's the exact scene that demonstrates Gushing Over Magical Girls isn't only. Now, I almost didn't want to be the one to verbalize this position because I didn't want to deal with the social blowback of championing it, but, well, I've already eaten the cancellation, might as well get it out there. Gushing Over Magical Girls has an informed, passionate, and loving respect for the genre it's parodying. And it does more to build up and maintain that central heart than many traditional Mahou Shoujo works. Gushing Over Magical Girls is a magical girl show. Primarily this comes through in protagonist Utena Hiragi's fandom and fetishization of the magical girl ideal. It becomes very clear over the course of the series that Utena does not only receive sexual arousal from the physical trappings and characteristics of the magical girls, though she is quite gay, but instead that attraction is secondary to her thematic and conceptual love. for what magical girls stand for. When Azure breaks in this scene, she accepts her masochistic nature and abandons the struggle to maintain the ideals of the magical girl. Utna then immediately, and harshly rejects her. Utna has no desire for a sexual plaything. As I said in my Madoka Magica breakdown series, being a magical girl has always been struggle and suffering to maintain impossible ideals. It's Utna who understands this. She's happy to play the role of the person who inflicts the suffering. But the magical girl, they don't ever give up hope. They don't ever stop fighting. Abstention of that, Utna cannot abide. Utna is too enamored with the conceit of magical girls, the platonic magical girl ideal. In many ways, she's just like Homura Akemi, a voyeur accidentally thrust into the exact story she so adores, forced to act on it and try to have it bend to her will. For Homura, that would be protecting the magical girl she cares about from all possible harm. For Utna, this is harming the magical girls she cares about from all their delusionment. Here's the beauty of the story, though. Through that rejection, Gushing Over Magical Girls is able to catalyze a character arc for Azure, have her rely on magenta and sulfur, renew her determination and morals, accept who she is, and grow to a place where she can literally use her masochistic nature as a new and strong power to uphold the selfless ideals of the magical girl that she really and truly embodies. And it's not just Azure. Magenta functions perfectly as the pink precure leader figure guilty of no self-delusion, effortlessly building friendships and powering through her embarrassment to help innocents and protect people. Memo and Matama's forced lesbian sex scene was an honestly lovely and charming way of having them acknowledge how much their relationship means to them. As weird as that may seem, there's endless slice-of-life relationship-building scenes with Alice and the rest that could be straight out of an episode of Modern Precure. There's as much power of friendship in Enormita as anywhere else in the genre. When Utna helps the magical girls rebuild the town after their climatic battle, it really puts in perspective how forced and contrived the conflict all is, and this fact is repeatedly lampshaded by the show itself. The main characters being villains matters not at all. No more than the demon girl next door, or Symphogear, or what have you. It's all just people interacting and learning more about themselves and others, hoping that they can build a better future. BDSM trappings and nipple pasties be damned. Gushing Over Magical Girls is, thematically, a magical girls show. Gushing Over Magical Girls is, content-wise, show. For me, these two stances are not inherently opposed. My arousal precedes my morals. This, again, I think many people don't have to work that hard to understand. When people gush over a sexy villain like Million's Knives, or Sephiroth, or Ghetto, or Bondrude? Am I reading this right? That Bondrude? That's some fucked up mother nigga. You know they're fictional mass murderers, right? They're bad people. That doesn't matter. Of course it doesn't. Sexual attraction isn't some conscious act that you run through your prefrontal cortex. Denying your feelings by locking them behind, is it socially appropriate for me to be turned on by this? Seems like a fantastic way to end up repressed and unhappy with your natural biology. No one has to answer to the thought police, much less the lizard brain thought police. Now, I understand that for many, these two stances are irreconcilable. Many people can't or won't allow their fantasies to precede their morals. This is the other reason I resisted making this video for a little while, is I've already made it. I talk all about the otaku's ability to hold multiple modes of consumption of the same character in their minds, including salacious ones, in my video about Beautiful Fighting Girl. Here's a quote from the book. If there is a certain sincerity and ethics in a disassociated life lived with self-awareness, it is because hypocrisy and deception dwell in the falsely coherent life. I would encourage anyone interested in learning about the Lacanian ideals of differing realities or Saito Tamaki's exploration of reality versus reality and how it is presented in otaku culture, including literal anecdotes about the sexualization of magical girl characters in Japan, to check out that book and my video along with it. At the end of the day, I'm not particularly upset about being cancelled to the limited degree that I was. I understand that for some people, certain topics, thoughts, or comments are simply non-negotiable, and context or reality isn't going to change their minds. Hey, we must act on the values we believe in. I do think it's excessively foolish to delete good content because you don't find someone's sexual arousal correct, but I'll get over it. I think my problem really is that when you stand as judge and juror, gatekeeper of morality, you very quickly wind up with a ton of burnt bridges. From trying to build friendships in the community for some time now, such a large segment of the magical girl fandom comes up against this, gets real cliquey. I guess it's sort of a smaller extension of the prevailing culture in many online spaces nowadays, but have we really moved to a point where cranking the hog over the wrong Chinese cartoons is ban-worthy? Calling anathema on pretty standard heterosexual male sexual urges seems like just the weirdest hill to die upon. I don't feel the need to apologize for being aroused by arousing content, nor for providing it as positive criticism on a show clearly aiming to evoke that exact response. What's more, rejecting and looking down upon others for not living up to your conceptualized standard of integrity or behavior, telling people that their bodies and thoughts and way of life are wrong, to me that sounds like the ideology of a magical girl villain, and utterly unlike the tolerance and relationship building demonstrated by the cast of Gushing over Magical Girls. Undoubtedly the best / magical girl combination in recent memory. Well, that is, at least until Panty and Stocking comes back. Utena. 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 Hiragi Utena. Utena Tenjo. Revolutionary Girl Utena. 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 Enormita. Brazier. Brazier.